Everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation.
Moment of silence for those less fortunate, everyone here today. Thank you. Amen.
Alrighty, Clerk Golick, roll call vote, please.
Markovich.
Here.
Spatelli.
Here.
Kalwinski.
Here.
Torres. Higgs.
Here.
Emerson.
Here.
Warple.
Here.
Rakels.
Here.
Vines.
Here, let the record reflect 8 present, 1 absent. Okay, moving on to reading of the minutes.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Spitali.
make a motion to accept the minutes from June 12, 2017.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilman Emerson to accept the minutes of June 17th, 2017. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we are going to have a presentation to the mayor. Please approach the podium.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council, and good evening, citizens of Hammond. My name is Wayne Snyder. I'm with the Nancy Snyder Memorial Fund and a husband of my late wife, Nancy Snyder. And this is Lori Caputo with the American Red Cross. Just a little background. 3 years ago in 1 month, my wife passed away of a brain tumor at 46 years old. She was an educator in Hammond school system for 25 years. I'm from Hammond, she's from Hobart, we lived in Hobart. She loved Hammond as much as Hobart. She loved the citizens, the children, everything about Hammond. While she was sick and before she got really sick, there was a couple of things she asked me to promise her I would do. And one was take care of the teachers and take care of the students of Hammond and Hobart. The food pantry and a couple other things also. And naturally, she was in a clinical research program in the University of Tennessee, and we continue to help with finding a cure for cancer. In less than 3.5 years, we have surpassed $100,000 that we have distributed between Hammond and Hobart schools, the communities, the Make-A-Wish Foundation through great cause here in Hammond, the 9/11 Slugfest, and I can't say enough for the Callahans, what they do, along with the mayor's support and everybody in Hammond. We've almost at that $20,000 mark. We're at $17,500. We've contributed to children with cancer. Last year, we were able to fund a child complete vacation wish to Disney World, which was pretty cool. I know Nancy would have loved that. Needless to say, blood was very important, and we were always worried when she was going to have blood. So she asked me if I would try to put together a blood drive. In comes the American Red Cross, Lori Caputo. Before that happened, our mayor here in Hammond and mayor in Hobart, and Mayor McDermott got together and said, what can we do to help? I said, how about a challenge? And they challenged each other to see who could get the most blood through the communities. The two school superintendents heard about it in Hammond and Hobart. They challenged each other. And it has probably been one of the things that I'm most proud of that our Memorial Fund is involved with. With that being said, I'd like to turn it over to Lori and let her say, give you a few numbers, which I think are pretty impressive.
It is an impressive event, and what a wonderful way to honor somebody so dear. But then to come together for one life-giving cause for our community. The first year we did our challenge, it was small, just 2 cities, and we collected 155 pints between Hammond and Hobart, and Hobart won. The second year we did it again, and Hobart was inspired and said, well, let's get the high school involved. So they got their high school involved. We collected 264 pints. The second year we did the challenge, like, whoa, this is great. Well, then this next year, we went ahead and we got the Hammond school system involved. And schools did extra blood drives, and the school, the town supported it. We collected 491 pints of blood this year with the Nancy Snyder Memorial. So year to date, we've helped save over 2,700 lives, 2,700 lives between the 3 years that we've been doing this challenge. And what a memory, what a gift that has been. So thank you so much.
Thank you for that. And that number to me is so impressive, 2,700 units of blood and people that have been able to help their lives and assist them. When I started the blood drive or got involved with it, I was hoping to do 500 units in maybe 3 to 5 years. And again, 2,700 just is unbelievable. We couldn't do it without our mayors, nationally the American Red Cross, the school system. The mayor, with everything else I know all you folks have going on, he gives me names of people to call within his administration to help work with us, and that's over and above everything else that you guys do. Dan Spitali and I, we've known each other for a long time. Bob, you and I go way back. I know everybody works hard to make this happen. Another thing Lori didn't say is we have Purdue Calumet on board now, which really boosted your numbers this year and helped a lot. Next year, you won't have Purdue because they're going to challenge IU. So now we've got another challenge out there. So hopefully we can continue doing this. The numbers have literally doubled every year in 3 years, and Hammond has really stepped up this year. So Mayor, on behalf of the Nancy Snyder Memorial Annual Red Cross Blood Drive, here, I'll put you in the middle. Red Cross Blood Drive Challenge, the top supporter this year goes to 2017, the city of Hammond. Congratulations, sir.
And I totally neglected to say how many pints you collected, which made you the winner. 280 pints were collected in Hammond versus Hobart, 211.
Great.
So that's.
Thank you.
It's embarrassing. I mean, first off, being the mayor of the city, I get to receive it on behalf of the citizens of Hammond. But I tell you, the person that's responsible for this is Wayne Snyder, who works very hard in his late wife's honor. I know she'd be very proud. I knew Nancy very well. She was a school principal at Columbia Elementary School. When I first met her, she was there first 10 years I was mayor. And she went to that school every single day and loved the kids, and they loved her back. She was a great person. It was tragic to see her leave. So I think it's just very admirable to see her late husband working so hard in her honor. So congratulations. Thank you very much.
The school's awarded this year.
Oh, thank you. I
Oh,
appreciate
yeah,
it.
that's right, the scholarship for Hammond
Thanks.
Schools is great, too, that happens. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'll post it someplace prominent. We'll keep it every year.
Good. Great job, Hammond. And I do have to say that all the people who come out to support this is a testament to Nancy and the way she touched so many people in the city of Hammond. So thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you.
Everybody, we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Getting back to business. Approval of claims.
Madam Chair Lady,
Yes, Councilman Markovich.
move for approval of claims June 7th through June 21st, 2017 for council meeting June 26th. beginning with claims dated 6/19/17 and ending with claims dated 6/21/17. Claim number 3579 through claim number 4013 for a total of $13,635,096.04. I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilman Higgs, for approval of claims from June 7th through June 21st, 2017. Any discussion?
Madam Chairwoman,
Yes, Councilman Warple.
I would like to pull claim 3597 to Ice Miller LLP in the amount of $5,000 from the Hammond, it says it. The fund was the city court. I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Warple, second by Councilman Rakos, to pull claim number 3597. Councilman, do you happen to have a copy of?
Yes, I do.
Would you mind passing that out to each of us so we can see exactly what it is?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Higgs.
guess my question would be to Councilman Warple as to his reasonings for pulling this claim.
Would you speak into the mic a little bit?
I said, I guess my reasoning for asking Councilman Warple, what would it be his reason for pulling the claim?
Madam Chairwoman,
Councilman Warple.
as I've just passed out, you can see on the claims for the council meeting of May 22nd of 2017, claim 2903 was to the same firm for the same amount. And on the claim that I'm asking to be pulled, all it says is services rendered through 5/15/2017. And I would just like to know what those services are. Are they to help close the court? Are they to help sue us because we're closing the court? I would just like an explanation of the dollar amount and how many more $5,000 claims we'll have from her office.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Mr. Mayor.
I'm here to answer any questions if anybody has a question about Councilman Warple's actions.
Call for the vote.
We are voting on the
Amendment.
motion to pull claim number 3597 in the amount of $5,000. Clerk Golick?
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali. Kalwinski.
Yes.
Torres. Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Warple.
Yes.
Rakos.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes. Amendment passes, 8 in favor, 1 absent. Now for claims as written. Clerk Golick?
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali. Kalwinski.
Yes.
Torres. Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Warple.
Yes.
Rakos.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes. Claims pass, 8 in favor, 1 absent. Moving on to public hearings, there are none. Communications.
Madam President,
Councilman Higgs.
I just wanted to personally thank Mayor McDermott, Councilman Markovich, and Councilman Spitali for, also I see County Councilman Dave Ham here, but I have a plaque for the mayor on behalf of the 3rd District and the councilman of the district, thanking him for his contribution for helping us out with the 3-on-3. It says, Who's Got Gang, Anthony Higgs, in appreciation to Mayor Thomas McDermott, Hammond 3rd District 3-on-3 basketball tournament, June 17, 2017. I just want to say thank you to you all for your support. 13 years strong, and it was a huge success. We were able to give away about 25 bicycles to the kids throughout the entire city, and they had fun, and it was an enjoyment time, and I just want to say thank you. So here you are, man.
Walking out of here with some hardware today. This is just more complicated.
Any other communications? Any other communications? Communications is now closed. Committee reports.
Madam Chairwoman,
Yes, Councilman Warple.
Finance Committee will be reporting out ordinance 1716.
Thank you. And I will be announcing the upcoming community and crime watch meetings. And the Pulaski Park Neighborhood Association will meet Tuesday, June 27th, 6:30 p.m. at the American Legion on Goslin. That is tomorrow night. It's always a very informative meeting there. And with the holidays coming up, the community and crime watch meetings are a little bit sparse. But please tune in to WJOB. Tomorrow morning, Edison Community Watch hosts a radio show. We'll be talking about National Night Out. That's coming up on August 1st, and with some helpful information, because community is not just about me, it's about us. Committee reports is now closed. Ordinance, third and final passage.
Ordinance 17-16, sponsored by Councilman Warple and Kelwinski. An ordinance creating a new non-reverting fund, number 222, entitled Bond Monies.
Madam Chairwoman,
Yes, Councilman Warple.
I move for final passage and adoption of ordinance 1716.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Warple, second by Councilman Kalwinski for final passage of 1716. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Clerk Golick, roll call vote, please.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Torres. Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Warple.
Yes.
Rakels.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes. Let the record reflect 8 in favor, 1 absent.
President Vines, that concludes the ordinances for final reading.
Thank you, Clerk Golick. Moving on to introduction of ordinances. There are none. Resolutions.
Item A, Resolution 17R-23, sponsored by Councilman Spitali. A resolution authorizing the Hammond Police Department to apply for a 2017 Indiana Criminal Justice Grant to prevent impaired driving.
Madam President.
Yes, Councilman Higgs. I'm sorry, Councilman Spitali.
Move for final passage of 17R-23.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilman Emerson for final passage of 17R-23. Any discussion?
Madam President.
Yes, Councilman.
The amount for this grant is $50,400. I'd like to have Lieutenant Vicari come to the podium, please, and explain this.
Good evening, Madam President. A little bit about this grant. This is a yearly grant that we do apply for. I believe this is the 4th year in a row that we've done this. One thing I did fail to mention in the caucus, there's one additional leg, but I'll cover that in just a second. The total of this grant is $50,400. It's all for manpower. It is zero match, so that means all that money's coming to us for overtime. The way it's going to break down, tentatively around 560 man-hours of DUI roving patrol, which will be 7 days a week. However, I do not allow the officers to start before 6 p.m. because obviously 10 a.m. I'm not going to go out looking for drunk drivers. So there's a time mandate on that. There is an exception that if you do find one prior to that, you are allowed to take comp time and claim it as overtime. In addition to that, we agreed to do 4 sobriety checkpoints between now and September 30th, which we're going to do. The final portion, which I failed to mention in caucus, is, I believe it's about 62 man-hours that have been set aside for the clerk's office to process this onslaught of citations that they're about to receive. This is the first time that it's been allowed under the grant agreement, so obviously the first time that we're going to do that, and they're going to be allowed to use those hours as they see fit. So that's basically the crux of the grant, and if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to entertain them now. Yes, sir.
Do you think why 6 o'clock? Don't you think it should be 8, 9, 10 o'clock or something like that, or?
Statistics have shown that people get off work, they like to have that drink after work. So there was some statistical analysis done on this. And you're right, the later it gets, the higher the chances, but 6 p.m. started showing that, yeah, here we go. Any other questions I can answer for you?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Clerk Golick, roll call vote, please.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Torres. Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Warple.
Yes.
Rakels.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes. 17R23 passes, 8 in favor, 1 absent.
Item B, Resolution 17R-24, sponsored by Councilwoman Vines. A resolution of the Hammond City Council approving certain Form CF-1 as filed with the Common Council of the City of Hammond as the designating body by applicants previously approved for economic revitalization area deductions from assessed value pursuant to Indiana Code 6-1.1-12.1.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Spitali.
final passage of 17R-24.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Spitali, second by Councilman Warple for a final passage of 17R24. Any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman.
I'd like to have Africa Tarver please come to the podium, please.
Good evening. Good evening, Council. The resolution that you have before you tonight is a resolution that will approve the compliance forms as were submitted to the Council. As you know, when companies come to the city and they want to have they apply for a tax abatement or a deduction, they're required to complete a statement of benefits form. The statement of benefits form reflects the stated benefit of the project. So it'll have the actual amount of the estimated amount of the investment, jobs created, or equipment that may be purchased. The compliance form, or as stated, the CF1 form, is the form that states if they complied with the statement of benefits. So the statement of benefits form is the estimated benefit of the project, and the compliance form is if they actually, it's the compliance form. So it basically is a checks and balance system. In an effort to make this a more efficient and more effective process, instead of having them just randomly come in before the council, what we wanted to do was have them all come in before the council and then have the companies come before you so that if you had any questions, then you can ask them personally. And we have all the companies represented tonight. So if you have any questions, they are here tonight to answer any questions you may have. Also, I included a spreadsheet that identifies the information or states the information as it is stated on the statement of benefits form as well as the compliance form. And that is for your review.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have any questions of the representatives from each of these companies here this evening?
Yes.
Councilman Mark.
Could you introduce each one of them that are here for the companies?
Sure. Would you like to, if you wanted to come up. This is Gordon, well, I'll let them introduce themselves.
Gordon Fitzsimmons, American Stair Corporation.
Gene Robbins, Munster Steel Company.
Courtney Bettenhausen, Amstead Industries.
Thank you all for joining us this evening. Any questions, gentlemen?
When we,
Councilman Markovich?
Amstead, we gave you guys a tax abatement, and then right after that, you had a layoff or whatever, is that correct? How has that come about, or is it because of the springs that they weren't needed for the railroad cars anymore, or what was the actual? Microphone, please.
Sorry. The railroad industry is a very cyclical industry, and about every 10 years, we have a peak and we have a low. So 2013, we were building for business, and we peaked in 2015, and now we've starting the trend down.
How many people did you lay off, and did you call any of them back since that time?
We've had multiple layoffs. Most recently, we've had 3 separate layoffs, and we have started calling handful back. And a layoff, in our sense, would be 10 to 15 people per layoff, and now we've started to make some calls back.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Yes, Councilman Kowinski.
This would be for the American Stairs rep. Thank you for being here. Pleasure. I believe some of the conditions around you getting that property and working with the city was to do improvements, facade improvements, and so I'd like you to tell us what you're going to do and what kind of time.
Well, we actually worked inside out, got the plant going, moved the office in, and just this weekend we cleaned up the outside. We still haven't started the remodeling yet, and I had planned and anticipated on finalizing the project with the sale of our property in Illinois, which is not going as quickly as I had hoped. So,
so your
time frame would be, regardless of the sale of that property, would be no later than the second quarter of next year.
And then you submit plans to after.
We are. We've got. We'll have a artist rendering. There's going to be a canopy and a facade. We're either going to paint it or clad it. Planters, that type of thing. To give it a better look, and then a little signage on the road also.
No later than second quarter next year.
No later than second quarter of next year.
Thank you.
Or my wife will be mad at me.
Question.
Yes, Councilman Markovich.
Did a lot of your employees move from Illinois to Indiana? How far away is your old plant from?
We're about 50 miles, and many of them did. We also hired a number from the state of Indiana, and it's our anticipation, not because I'm standing here, but because I think it's reality, that as these employees come from Illinois and see the living opportunities in Indiana, the value of personal property, housing, things like that, tax situation, I think they'll be moving to Indiana. We've got a lot of guys have mentioned it to us over the last 90 days or so.
Hoist Industries that does the forklift, they moved to East Chicago. I mean, he saved a lot of money in taxes just from moving from Illinois to Indiana, and he showed their employees how much money they would be saving as far as paying taxes too. So you might want to get a hold of him and talk to him, because he showed them that it's cheaper for them to move from Illinois and move to Indiana, and as far as drive time, as far as tax purposes too.
Yeah, I'll try to. I didn't get the name or what's.
Hoist Industries.
Hoist Industries.
Africa
Okay.
could probably get you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, gentlemen?
One more question, Munster
Yes,
Steel. We
Councilman
can't leave
Markovich.
her out.
Yes, sir?
Did Hillary help you or not? Or did you help Hillary?
Neither.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, they would not let me take a picture with her. I didn't pass the background check.
Madam President.
Yes, Councilman Kowinski.
For Munster Steel, is some of your parking lot or gravel?
No, none of our parking lot is gravel. We have a truck turnaround. That is gravel that runs around the back of the facility, but we have 2 parking lots in the front. They're both asphalt. Mm-hmm.
Gentlemen, any other questions? Thank you all very much. Any other discussion? Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Kowinski.
Yes.
Torres. Higgs.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Warple.
Yes.
Rakos.
Yes.
Vines.
Yes. 17R24 passes, 8 in favor, 1 absent.
President Vines, that concludes the reading of the resolutions.
Thank you, Clerk Golick. Now, new and unfinished business.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Higgs.
I'd like a letter sent to the Hammond Police Department in regards to the recent robbery that took place at Tanglewood apartment complex in my district. I'd like to see extra patrol in that area. I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Higgs, second by Councilman Rakos to have a letter sent to the Hammond Police Department regarding a recent robbery, thank you, in Tanglewood. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other new and unfinished business?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Higgs.
just to add to that, before this incident occurred, I tried to have a meeting out there. They have new management currently there, and for some reason or another, she refused to have a meeting with the residents in the complex. But shortly after, now we just had a robbery. Hopefully, this will open their eyes and realize that it takes more than just one person to prevent such of these actions that are happening currently. And armed robbery is not good in any point or any location in our city, and certainly we need to take preventive measures to try to prevent this from happening again. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Any other new and unfinished business? Any other new and unfinished business?
Madam Chair Lady,
Yes, Councilman.
earlier a claim was pulled for the judge's office. Anybody planning on asking what that claim was for, or should we send her a letter asking her what the it's $10,000 total, what that's for? Just make a motion to send a letter to the judge's office asking him what that invoice exactly, what it is for. I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilman Higgs, to have a letter sent to the judge regarding the claim that was pulled this evening. Any discussion?
Madam Chairwoman,
Yes, Councilman Warple.
I would like for her to come in front of us and explain to us what it is.
Madam President,
Councilman Higgs.
certainly we can request her to come. That doesn't mean she's going to come. The reality of it is that we're requesting an explanation of the claim, so that should be sufficient, I think. But if you want to put it in the letter form to request her to attend our next council meeting, that's fine too.
Councilman Warple, you pulled the claim. Your pleasure.
Yeah, I request that she come and explain it. Ask her to show up and explain it.
Is that a motion?
Yes, it's a motion.
Okay, motion by Councilman Warple.
Yeah, that's what,
Yes. Okay,
it's his
I'm
motion,
sorry.
I mean,
Okay, so motion by Councilman Markovich, who was the second, Councilman Higgs, to have a letter sent to the judge, what was,
In regards to the claim that was pulled for
Okay.
$5,000.
Madam Chairwoman?
Councilman Warple, would you like to amend that, I guess?
Yeah, I
to
guess
invite
we
her?
can we amend in the letter you're asking for, can we ask her to come explain it to us?
Okay. So you amended that, and I need a second on the amendment to the letter.
Is that okay with, is that okay with the councilman, with his request?
You'll know when you make the motion.
I made the motion that we
Second.
amend.
Okay, motion by Councilman Warple, second by Councilman Higgs, to amend the letter to invite the judge to come to the next council meeting to discuss the pulling of the claim. All those in favor?
Question.
Councilman Markovich.
You know, several weeks ago, we made a request to have the school superintendent or the president of the school board to come here And they didn't show up, but they send a letter, so do we want to send them another letter and have them show up? I mean, just because they said in their...
Councilman, one letter at a
Well,
time.
this is discussion. I'm just discussion, that's all. That, you know, they said because several councilmen attended their school board meeting, that gave them enough reason not to show up at the city council meeting. So, I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. I mean,
I do believe they said that they would be in contact with us once they had their so-called ducks in a row. So I just don't think we should be confusing the two.
Madam Chairwoman,
Yes, Councilman.
the only thing I could say to dispute that is this is a claim that we have to pay. I mean, we're the fiscal body of the council. If we have a question on the claim, I mean, it's the apples to oranges comparison with the school board and them not showing. If she doesn't show, we'll deal with it then. I don't know. But you asked, you know, do I want a separate letter asking her to come? No, you can put it in the letter that.
well, I'll withdraw my request for a letter if you're going to make the motion for her to appear then.
Okay. Councilman Warple, will you pull your request to amend the letter? Will you rescind that request?
I second the motion.
Sure.
Okay, and you seconded it, so will you please
I
rescind your
rescind
second?
my second.
And Councilman Markovich, you are going to rescind your request for
Correct.
a letter, correct?
Yes.
And Councilman Higgs, you rescind your
Second.
request for his request. Okay. Okay, so we're starting all over. New and unfinished business. Councilman Warple,
Yeah.
do you want a letter sent to the
No, he
judge?
wants her to appear.
Here.
I rescinded that, right?
You rescinded the motion.
Madam President,
Oh, Lord have mercy.
all
Yes, Councilman.
he's made a motion, now what he can do is to make this meeting move on, is to just make the motion to send a letter for the judge to appear at the next council meeting, which is scheduled, when, Clerk Golick, when is our next council meeting?
July 10th.
July 10th.
Make that a motion and I'll second
I
it.
make that motion that
Second.
the judge shows up at the
Okay.
next council meeting.
Motion by Councilman Higgs, second by Councilman Warple to have a letter sent to the judge to request her appearance at the July 10th meeting. Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair Lady, do you think I should still send a letter just in case she doesn't show up?
Don't make me laugh, really. I mean,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other new and unfinished business?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Higgs.
recently I sent a letter to code enforcement about Washington and Garfield in the alley. There's a dumpster where the property owner is not maintaining it. So it's still a bunch of debris and all kinds of things sitting around the dumpster. So I make a motion that I send a letter to code enforcement regarding Washington and Garfield. 410, 412. Garfield is actually the address, but it sits behind on Washington. I so move.
Motion by Councilman Higgs. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second by Councilman Warple to have a letter sent to code enforcement regarding 410 through 12 Washington and Garfield on 165th. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Not 165th, it's Detroit, I'm sorry. Detroit.
Well, I didn't hear Detroit at all in
Sorry.
that.
Detroit, it's Detroit and Washington. Washington.
What about Garfield?
Well, it's actually Detroit. Detroit sits on one street, but the street where the dumpster is on Washington.
Okay.
So, but the property is on 410, 412 Detroit.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Councilman Higgs, second by Councilman Warple to have a letter sent regarding 41012 Detroit, Washington, Garfield. I think code enforcement will be able to figure out when they see the dumpster. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other new and unfinished business? Any other new and unfinished business? I would like to announce that on the 4th of July, there will be a naturalization ceremony at the Wolf Lake Pavilion beginning at 5 p.m. It's always a moving experience to attend one of those ceremonies and be able to acknowledge the people who want to be in the land of the free. New and unfinished business is now closed. Public expression. The first speaker of the night is Elizabeth Ronbotham. All righty, thank you. You will have 3 minutes, ma'am, if you would state your name and address.
It's Elizabeth Robotham, 6348 Ohio Avenue, Hammond, Indiana. My concern is, why do rental properties and their tenants get away with not changing their plates from Illinois to Indiana? This has been an ongoing issue with many of the neighborhoods. I have a neighbor who moved in during Pierogi Fest, 10 o'clock at night. To this day, she has never changed her plates. I've contacted city, code enforcement, police, everything. Nothing's being done. I keep getting it, call the police, they don't have time, they don't have the manpower. Can't we hold the landlords sometime possible? Make them responsible for not informing their tenants to get changed? It would help a lot of us make it a little bit more comfortable that we're Indiana residents, they want to live in Indiana. Why aren't they sending their kids even to Indiana schools? They take them to Dalton, Lansing. They don't even put them in our schools. That's why they still have their Illinois plates. That's my frustration. We need to do something. Please help.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I will speak to you after the meeting.
Thank you.
Garrick Alexander. We'll have 3 minutes, sir, if you would give your address, please.
How y'all doing? Good evening. Garrick Alexander, 6142 Noble Avenue, live in the 3rd District. One of my questions is, being a constituent of Mr. Higgs, I know you guys got a hard job. I don't understand politics. I'm trying to come learn. But the point I'm trying to make is, how do the constituents have more of a voice of how the money is being spent in our community, in our district, as far as of our necessities, what we believe our necessities are, depending on the budget?
Thank you very much. We will, if someone wishes to address your question this evening, we will return to new and unfinished business, but under public expression, you just voice your opinion, okay, and then we move on.
Another opinion. I'm just trying to figure out what's the purpose of this committee. The purpose.
Of what? The council?
Yes.
Okay, we will return to new and unfinished business, sir.
All right.
Thank you. George Stoya? Okay.
Here.
Public expression is now closed. Anyone want to return to new and unfinished business?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilman Higgs to return to new and unfinished business. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Madam President.
Yes, Councilman Higgs.
Just to enlighten Mr. Alexander on some of the expenditures, the mayor has a discretionary fund. The council has a fund, except the at-large. The 3 at-large get no money. Thanks to Horseshoe Casino, they are a huge contributor to the city of Hammond. Without them, a lot of the things that you see currently taking place in our city wouldn't happen. When I initially got on the council, I controlled about $3.2 million. This is my 4th term. Now it's dwindled down to maybe 1.2. Any money that's not spent for my particular district in a year, I can spend that money the following year, but we have to reappropriate it through the council. But my money is only designated for certain items in my district, unlike the mayor's money. I can only fix sidewalks, curbs, lighting, parks, that type of thing. I can't go on private property and fix anything. So that money is only designated for that. I can't make a contribution out of that fund. I can only do that out of my promotional fund. So to enlighten you and help you understand that the majority of the funding that is available through the city, the mayor has the control of that. But the councilman does designate what needs to be done in a particular district. All the playground equipment that you've seen in Maywood Park, even the new basketball rims and all that, that's because Councilman Higgs personally requested that for his district. A lot of the new streets that you see being redone and the alleys being paved, repaved or whatever in my district, that's because of I designated and selected those. Each councilman has a right to decide which areas are good or bad in their district, and at that point decide which ones they want to do. With a limited amount of money and resources to do such, it's kind of hard to get everything done in 1 year. But to answer your question, I'm spending it as fast as I get it, and certainly trying to get as much done as possible in the 3rd district.
Thank you. Any other new and unfinished business?
What are you looking for?
Any other new and unfinished business? New and unfinished business is now closed. Oh no, we need to return to the regular order of business. Okay, can I have a motion?
I got a question on the new
Yes.
unfinished. How are you going to address, or how are we going to address the lady about the Illinois plates? You
I
said-
will speak to her after
But
the meeting.
in what respect, or whatever? Recommendation that all of us should know, or what?
Anyone who attends a community or crime watch meeting has heard the police officers time and time again talk about the process of reciprocity. They are allowed 60 days, then they have to ticket the individual, then the individual has to go to court, then there are continuances, and then there is a fine, and at the end result, the resident, a lot of times, does not even have to get the Indiana plates. And then the process starts all over again with the ticket, and it's all because our plates are higher, and Illinois plates, what, $98?
See, but what they're doing too is they're getting a visitor's permit license plate, and then they're sticking that in their window. I don't even know if that individual has a visitor's permit, because I have
You mean
several.
in the residential-only parking areas?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're getting that blue sticker from the police department, and it's apartment buildings, and I've got 3 apartment buildings there now and probably 6 Illinois plates, and I've got Nebraska and Wisconsin, and they all got the blue visitors permits. So I think we're gonna have to probably change our ordinances or deal with the landlords saying that, anybody that, when they sign a lease with them and they've given them, an Illinois plate, that they need to say on their lease that within 60 days they have to change their plate, or their lease is invalid, or so forth. Because, and the other thing too is, the schools, they don't really care where they live. They just want bodies, because when they get a body coming here into School City, they get that $6,000-7,000 that they use, and then Councilman Emerson will tell you that he works for the School City, and he'll go ahead and check addresses, and some of the addresses are empty lots that kids sign up for school. That's an empty lot. And, that's the end of it. But the School City wants that money because they need it. I mean, I went to, ma'am, you're not allowed to talk now. I'm not having a discussion with you, okay? I don't want to seem that I'm rude or anything, but, when we went to that school board meeting about this well, no, it wasn't at the referendum. They've got 1,400 kids that are enrolled at the School City of Hammond, and they don't even live in Hammond. So, I mean, they don't even do anything about it, but it comes down to money. They want the money. They don't care where they come from. They need a body there, and then when the state does their count in the spring and in the fall or whatever, then, hey, we're going to send you a check for that $6,500. So it's all a matter of money. I agree with you with the license plates, because like I said, I've got 7 to 8 cars right there now, and there's no place for us to park because they're Illinois plates. And on the weekend, they got all these visitors, and it's all Illinois plates. So, yeah, it's a hard thing to do, but Janet is correct, you know, she'll talk to you, and I wasn't aware that after going through all of this, that the bottom line is nothing can be done. So I think something else is gonna have to be done, you know, either with the landlords, that when they sign that lease, that they better give their driver's license, or they need to submit that lease agreement with the city so we can follow up or have some kind of paperwork, because, yeah, they don't want to do it. And I'll agree with her. I got several people calling in Hessville, you know, about these plates, and the policeman says, well, you know, we're busy, we can't do this, we don't have that time, and so forth and all that. So it's a double-edged sword. I mean, you more worried about crime and burglaries, or you worried about Illinois license plates? So, you know, there are priorities.
Madam President.
I would like to interject here just for a second. Councilman Markovich, I have never heard a police officer say that they don't have time to address that. There are police officers who are specifically assigned to reciprocity. They will never say they don't have time.
Madam Chairwoman.
Yes, Councilman Warple.
You and I had this discussion in the early spring pertaining to the Knickerbocker apartments that are on Alcott Street. I asked for a reciprocity and got it. They have 60 days to get their plates changed over. The apartment complex I'm talking about has no private parking lot, and it is rented out by students of Purdue. One of the issues that we discussed was, should we require these landlords to add an extra layer of paperwork that says you have 60 days to change your plates over? One of the problems with the Knickerbocker apartments, when I talked to the management over there, is a lot of those students lease cars from Illinois. So what do? When they come off the plane and they get to O'Hare and they got to come to Purdue, they lease a car from Illinois and they lease it for 9 months. What do?
Madam President.
Yes, Councilman Hicks.
I have a similar dilemma in my district in Tanglewood and as well as in Douglas Point. And since I've been on the council, I've had to continuously call the police department in regards to the Illinois plates. Recently, Calvin Alcox, who works for the Hammond Police Department, a couple weeks before this robbery took place, did one out there. Now, how many cars were actually ticketed, I don't know. But I know I requested it, as I request on a regular basis, that they make those residents that move in our city change their plates. I mean, it's the law, and for some reason or another, they move over here and think it's okay to just keep Illinois plates, and it's ridiculous, especially in the apartment complexes. That's something that the Hammond Police Department should really, really focus on and do it on a regular basis, is ticket those individuals in regards to moving here and not switching their plates over. They only have so many days to do it, and I don't know why they're not doing it, but they are not complying with our city ordinance. They are not.
Madam Chairwoman, if he's done. The only thing I want to add is I agree with everything I've heard from everybody, but again, when I looked into it, those are leased cars. And the neighborhood that I happen to have, when this apartment complex was built, there was no private parking lot. And I got the guy that lives right next door to this apartment complex that has to park 14 houses down. That don't bother him. What bothers him is right in front of his house are 4 cars with Illinois plates. But if it's a leased car, do we still ticket the person?
No, you can't.
Well, Madam Chair Lady.
Yes, Councilman Mark.
Probably should still ticket them, and then when they come to court, then let them show a copy of their lease. That's probably the only way you can really do it. You keep enforcing it, send them, come to court, show us your lease then.
I guess my point is this is something I discussed with you, and I've actually talked to the management company of the one particular building, and she's like, yeah, if you guys want, I'll give them a piece of paper that says they have to change their plates over, within 60 days, but it's, don't be surprised if they don't because they're leased cars.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
Madam President.
Yes, Councilman Emerson.
Yeah, what I have seen and what I have experienced the Hammond Police Department has worked with the school city in doing reciprocity stings at various schools. And not only that, they've worked with other departments, police departments, and done drug stings, if you will, drug searches with the dogs and everything. And they have found people that there were warrants for their arrest. These are at elementary schools sometimes. They have found parents 2 and 3 blocks away dropping their kids off, and they've adjusted their tactics for that. So they've had success in the parking lots and at drop-off times at schools. But it is very difficult to, everybody says, it's my uncle's car. Well, it's not registered in your name. And I mean, they got a million excuses for it, but they have made attempts to get to the bottom of it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I would like to comment that these are topics that are discussed at Community and Crime Watch meetings, at Mayor's Night Out, at Mayor's radio show on Friday mornings. There are so many different avenues for us to receive information about how things are handled in the city. I urge everyone to attend one of those meetings. For the gentleman who wants to know about, projects in his district, the mayor always says the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So these are all things that we find out at Mayor's Night Out and on the radio. So, motion to return to the regular order of business.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilman Rakos to return to the regular order of business. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Warple, second by Councilman Higgs. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Everyone have a good evening and a wonderful 4th of July.